Hello, Bailey.
Hello, Maddie.
Wow, hi.
And hello, the rest of the internet. Welcome to Once Upon a Coffee Cup.
Woo!
For this week's video, we're doing our first ever book club, and we're affectionately calling it Once Upon a Book Club.
I like it. Very good.
Dada. So the book that we read in the month of March is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So we already read this book, and so this is the wrap-up book talk. So let's talk, or eat the book. So how book club is going to work is first we're going to talk about the book in non-spoilery details. So if you haven't read the book, you're safe. This is a safe environment for you. And then we're going to go into spoilers. We will let you know once that starts, so then at that point, if you haven't read the book, you can leave and then come back once you've read the book.
Exactly. Because you should read the book, obviously. So.
Yes. So let's get started. First, Maddie, can you tell us what the book is even about?
So, Shadow and Bone is set in the Grisha universe, as Miss Bardugo calls it. It's about Alina Starkov, who is a young orphan, and she's a soldier in the army, and one day discovers a powerful secret about herself. And so the book just follows her as she is dealing with all of the new things showing up in her life.
Now that we've read the book,
Yeah.
How many stars do you give it?
I think I would probably give it like a 4.5 out of 5. I feel like I can't give it a full 5 because I've read better, but it was still really good. So it's like, yeah. But what would you give it?
I would definitely give it a 4. I had a couple issues with like plot points and character development, but at the same time, if you think about it, it's Leigh's first book.
Yeah.
And so there's gonna be a little bit of that like first release jitters you gotta get out as an author.
Yeah.
But I loved the characters, and my favorite character probably in young adult fiction is in this book.
Ooh.
Which we'll get to once we get to characters.
Oh.
So that says a lot, but at the same time there's a lot of plot things that are in it that I'm like, oh, it could have been a little bit better.
I can see that.
So that's why it's a 4.
Yeah.
It's better than average, but it's just 4 for me.
Yeah, I get that. I had a couple things where I'm like,
There's a few moments
try
where you're
that
like,
again.
rewind.
Hold up.
Try again. Now let's talk about some of those characters. First, what are your thoughts on Alina?
I didn't hate her. Like, it was like,
I didn't hate her.
Yay! I mean, that's like the nicest thing I can say about a person.
I mean, after the last book we read was Truly Devious, and she hated
I hated the main character.
So the fact that she didn't hate Alina actually is, we're moving forward.
There's progress.
Okay, so like, we're good on that.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed her character a lot. There's a couple times where I was kind of frustrated with her, where I'm just kind of like, you're really just throwing yourself a pity party, what are you doing? But at the same time it was hard because it was like, I get it, and we're not going to think the exact same way, because maybe I wouldn't do that, but she's going to do that because she's a different person. So, but I did enjoy her character and the like development she had over the course of the story.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Alina?
I actually really liked Alina. I identified with her. Specifically because she...
I just realized that I just said I didn't like her that much, and you're like, yeah, I identify with her.
That's okay.
I'm not saying I don't like you.
I identify with her because she's very trusting, and it becomes like a loyalty, and she connects with the people around her, and that gives her strength. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
Without giving any spoilers, if that makes sense. Her strength kind of lies in how she works with and how she cares for the people around her, and I loved that about her. But I also had frustration because that was, in some cases, I felt like it was taken to the extreme, which kind of I feel like made her seem like a caricature of a person instead of an actual person. Like all of her qualities seemed very 10. Like level 10.
I can see that.
Instead of being like, most people aren't level 10 on all of their like personality points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you can have a level 10, but not all your personalities are level 10. And I feel like all of hers are like, she is there or she is here. Like there's no in between with her.
Yeah, like.
And so like I liked her, but I felt like she was just a little too much.
I can see that, yeah. There are a couple times where I just thought, there is no way an actual person would react like this. What is going on?
Or like, wouldn't react out loud like that.
I think what the problem was is probably Leia was trying to like overcompensate for making her be real. So like, you know, you're trying to make your character seem realistic and like actual people, and so you tend to overcompensate with that by writing in like these extreme character traits and stuff. So
yeah.
So
then there's the character of Mal, who when you read the book is her childhood turned adult best friend. And they served in the army together, and he kind of is Mr. Cool Guy in the army, very popular both with the ladies and the soldiers, and she's not. And so they're very different people, and then their life happens. What did you think of Mal?
I really liked him. He was really sweet, and I can get him because I've met people like him before. Like I had a couple friends in high school that were a lot like him, and so it made it easier for me to make him real in my head, I guess. He was a really sweet character, but I think he would have like some moments where just like Alina was a little too 10. So it was just, it was interesting, but I thought he was an interesting character. So
yeah, I think I actually have to disagree with him ever having qualities where he was a little too 10 for me. I personally think he was the most realistic character in this book. Because like crazy stuff happens in this book, and I feel like he's the only one who has like realistic reactions.
I can see that.
Like I know which part you're thinking of as him being a 10 because we talked about it a little bit. And I feel like it was a realistic reaction because I know people who are similar to him who would have that reaction.
Okay.
Sorry if this is confusing if you haven't read the book. If you have read the book, you know exactly what part we're talking about, where Mal gets a little bit 10.
Just a smidge.
Alright. So the next character we're talking about is a supporting character. Her name is Genya, and she is she works for the king. She's one of the Grisha, and so Grisha. How do you say it?
I say Grisha, but that's from reading it, not from actually
She's one of the Grisha. We're going to go with Grisha. She's one of the Grisha, and part of the Grisha is that they have abilities based on manipulating matter. So there's summoners who can create things. There are fabricators who can change the state of matter from one state to another.
She's a tailor, so she can like change appearances and
so she changes appearances, works for the queen, makes queen pretty, but she kind of is Alina's confidant and closest friend during some of like the crazier moments. And so what did you think of her?
I thought she was really sweet. She was really helpful to Alina when she first came to the little palace, which is like where the Grisha train. And I thought that she's someone that I would want to have in my life if I were going through some like completely new situation, because she was able to kind of calm her down and show her reality and be like, this is just what happens, you have to deal with it, which I appreciate that in people.
I really liked her because she wasn't perfect and she had like some gaping flaws, but she kind of became this like Jiminy Cricket kind of character where like when Alina went full 10 and was like to the extreme, she was like, I see you and I recognize you, but also there's this thing. And so it's kind of like that, like calm down, but also stick it to the man kind of like mentality all wrapped in one. And I felt like she kind of embodied, because she's gorgeous, like she's tailored herself to be perfect. And I kind of feel like she was a really cool way of like showcasing the negative effects of like almost like slut shaming, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when you see someone who's gorgeous and you think like, oh, because they're gorgeous, they aren't as smart, or because they're gorgeous,
they get all the guys.
Who cares about you? Like, you have all your fun, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was a really, really cool way to be like, this is the effects of that.
Yeah.
That sucks. Don't do it. Kind of an idea. So I thought it was a really interesting kind of cultural reference to bring in.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I didn't really think about that while I was reading it, but now that like you mentioned it makes sense. 'Cause, yeah.
All right. We've come to the point where if you have not read the book, you need to leave. And I'm sorry, we will miss you, but get out of here. Because spoilers abounded after this.
Get out of here. The door's over there. Leave.
Go. Okay. So the last character we're going to talk about is my favorite character.
Your favorite character is my favorite character.
Is our favorite character. I wasn't going to speak for you. Is our favorite character, the Darkling. Oh my gosh. I read this book literally in like 2 hours because of him. Like, I would get to a point where I was about to stop and then he'd do something else and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
So I actually did not see it coming when the twist happens and he's the bad guy.
I didn't see it coming.
Did not see it coming. I was like, okay, the king's gonna be this terrible person and there's gonna be like, you know, probably like a genocide of the Grisha, like something like that, or like the king's actually working with the other countries to like hunt down the Grisha. Like that's where my mind was going. So when the Darkling was revealed as the villain, I was like, but I love him. No. But like he was approaching like book boyfriend status.
I know. Right?
And then all of a sudden he was bad and I was like, I still kind of love him, but now he's bad. So like
with that.
I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like looking back and like seeing the like slightly manipulative behaviors that he has.
Yeah.
He is freaking psychotic in like the most amazing way. So it's like this weird like, you're crazy and I'm terrified of you.
But you're hot.
But I also kind of love you. So it might be Stockholm Syndrome. But
I can see that.
I think he is the best written character in this book.
I would have to agree. He was a fantastic character. I wouldn't want to. At first, I was like going towards the book boyfriend kind of route, like you.
He's got some Kaz elements to him.
He does, yeah. Which I can see that probably crossing over when she started writing Six of Crows.
100%.
But he was a fantastic character, and I was like, most of the times when I read a book and there's a character that seems a little too perfect, I am immediately suspicious of them. But I started getting more comfortable with him, being like, oh, he's fine, he's great.
Especially because he has a gaping flaw at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, he hurts her. Like, physically hurts her.
Yeah.
And is terrible and is mean and then becomes nice and like sweet. And I thought it was gonna be like, at first when he was mean, I thought it was gonna be those, oh, she's gonna fall in love with the bad guy. Like the bad, not bad guys and like villain, like bad guys and like the bad boy, like that abusive kind of, and I was like, please don't have like that romantic element to it. And then he turned really great and he was just like guarded and was alone and was vulnerable and you were like, oh my gosh, this poor guy has no friends because no one like him and he's so powerful that like no one wants to be his friend, and then he turns into a
monster
jerk face.
Yeah. Which was the biggest turn I've ever seen in a book, and that's what made me finish reading it so quickly. Because I got to that point and I was like, I was already really invested in the story, but I got to that point, I'm like, okay, I can't put this down, I have to finish it right now. So yeah. Speaking
of that plot point, where do you feel like the whole Shadowfold element is going to play in? Like, do you feel like that can be resolved by Alina, or do you think there's going to be more to that story? Because I don't think she can take it.
I think so there's 3 books and I barely started the second one, so I think that if she has enough time to maybe like gain more power or like train herself at least, then she might be able to, but at this point I feel like she won't be able to take it on herself.
No, because my thought is he's like hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
Like, he's freaking ancient. She's this 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Like, he's had so much time to train and create that Shadowfold. And she, like, yes, she created a pocket of light within it, but like,
Yay, you made
cool, a pocket of light, that's awesome. But like, you can't. The scene where she beats that like collar thing, I forget what it's called.
Morozova's collar.
Yeah, the scene where she beats that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was incredible.
It was one of those moments. It's one of those moments that I like. The reason I loved Captain Marvel, because it was like once you realized your inner strength, you can overcome this obstacle and like harness your power, which is such a great message. Like, once you find who you are, you can become the best that you can be. Such a good message.
I love that.
Thoughts on that scene though?
Yeah. I love that scene, honestly. I thought it was really cool and it was really well written because it kind of got me inside of her head and what she was going through. And it made me, like, just the imagery of everything made me fully invested in what was going on. And I wanted to see what happened to her and to Mal. So it was just like, oh, it was so good.
I know, I feel like at that moment, before I had kind of like seen her from a distance as I was reading it.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of separate from her, but in that scene I was like, no, I can picture how this is. Like, I can imagine.
Felt like I was her at that moment.
Yeah, I got fully invested. But the relationship between Mal and her, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's one where I'm kind of iffy on it.
I think people's problem with the story, because there are like mixed reviews on the Grisha trilogy in general, and I think part of the reason why people have a problem with it is because Mal and Alina their relationship is like what like I think every YA author is like ideally going towards. I think that's what every girl strives for, is like a relationship where you're super connected with your partner and everything is constantly romantic and all that kind of stuff, and that's what their relationship is like, which it's not always like that. So that's where I'm kind of like, this relationship is really cute and I wish it for myself, but it's kind of unrealistic because you're not always going to be super connected and doing anything.
The reason I'm like on the fence with the relationship is I love the idea of your best friend becoming your life partner. Like that I'm on board for, and even in later scenes, because they have that foundation, like that's great. Like they have such a instant bond because they already built up the friendship. My issue is with Mal, because he didn't realize until she was out of his life that he liked her. And the issue with that for me is, in my mind, he's created an image of like, not in the same way, but like almost that manic pixie dream girl kind of thing, that like once she was gone, and like that's kind of unhealthy. Like
honestly,
if he doesn't appreciate her before she's gone, how is he gonna appreciate her now that she's back? Like, okay. And also, he has such an issue with the Grisha in general. So the fact that she is Grisha is like, that's, if it doesn't play into the relationship in book 2 or 3, that's a missed opportunity. Like that's a struggle that they need to have as a couple. Like, and if that doesn't come up and like them talk through it, there's an issue there.
Yeah. And it could have been something used to be like it's this huge problem that he's had, but in loving her, he learns to love all of the Grisha. It could be something like that.
Yeah, but like they still got to talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that they could either completely skip over and not talk about it, or they can try to integrate it. I want it to be in there somewhere.
I'm really scared that she's gonna just like fly over it in the next 2 books. But
and considering it's her first few books, I think that might happen, but I'm still gonna finish reading them. I got all 3 books. I want to read it all.
Okay, last real question before we conclude. What is your theory on Mal's tracking ability?
I think he's gotta have some sort of power, like some sort of like Grisha ability, because there is no way he could do that like just on his own. That's not humanly possible. So I think he's got to be a Grisha in some way or another.
Definitely. And I think there's a moment where the Darkling says some people don't even realize the power that they hold, or something along those lines.
Yeah. And I think he suspects it too.
Yeah. So. And I think that's part of it. And so I think that Mal is going to have like an identity crisis, because he's going to realize that he is part something
Yeah.
I don't know what that something is, but he's part something that gives him the ability to track. Because, like,
Yeah.
just having a gut feeling that the stag is there or whatever, it's like, that's,
I know.
okay. But,
Yeah.
final thoughts. Do you have anything else?
I really enjoyed it, and I think that, like, other people should read it too. I can get why people don't want to, because it is romance heavy, even though it's a really cool fantasy universe and there's tons of world building, which is done pretty well. It's very vivid in my mind. I can get why people don't like it. So if you want something not as romance heavy, just go to Six of Crows. You don't need to read this before reading that. So.
No, we both read Six of Crows before we read this.
Yeah. Made a mistake. But it was, it was really enjoyable. It was a very vivid story, and it kept my attention for a good long while, which doesn't always happen when I read a book. So I really enjoyed that. So I would probably, like, if it's been a while and I haven't read it and I've forgotten stuff, I would definitely read it again because I really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, I 100% would read it again. I would, however, probably, if I was recommending it to someone, describe it as a romance novel set in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Because she's 17 and is a stereotypical 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That's where her mind goes. Her mind goes.
That's what I was like when I was 17, so.
That's why I said, stereotypical 17-year-old girl is a good, like, culturally what we think of when we think of a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah. It's just in a different universe.
Yeah, she's just has powers. But I would 100% read it again, and it makes me excited to read the rest of Leigh's books. So that's the end of our book talk on Shadow and Bone. So next month, for the month of April, what book are we reading, Maddie?
We are reading Fox by Nadine Brands.
I'm excited about this one because it's really cool. History and magic and masks, and I follow Nadine on Instagram, Bookstagram, and she's my favorite account to follow.
Really yeah.
So I'm really excited to give this novel a try.
Yeah, and I've always liked the idea of, like, having magic within actual historical like worlds, which is really cool. I wish more people did that. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
So if you want to join our book club, read Fox in April, and then you'll get to see what we think of this at the end of April. Because that's how book clubs work.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed our book club, like, subscribe, tell us what you thought about Shadow and Bone if you've read it. If you're excited about Fox, tell us you're excited about Fox. This has been Once Upon a Coffee Cup. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Maddie.
And we love you. Okay, bye.
Bye.